Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to use Linq to do data conversion. Pretty common scenario when dealing with things like web services or third-party APIs is where you would receive a list of entities or list of objects that are native to the web service or the API, and you want to convert them to your own data model. Because I know personally I don't like to sprinkle web service entities throughout my application because they're too easy to change and too easily to break. So I like to convert them to my own type of entity. And prior to Linq, it was doable, but relatively painful and relatively noisy. Fortunately for us, Linq makes it pretty easy and pretty straightforward. Now let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I've done, I've already created my original entity. This would be the entity that would say come back from the web service or a third-party API. And it has two fields on it, field 1 and field 2. Pretty simplistic for this example. And I've gone ahead and created a helper method that will actually just create a list of entities and return them back for us. And then down here is my personal entity. My personal entity is the one that I want to use. It's the end result entity. It's the one I like to convert to. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to do conversion today. I'm going to show you how to do a painful way, which is not using Linq. I'm going to show you how to do the less painful way, which uses Linq. And then I'm going to show you the even less painful way, or I call the least painful way. So let's go ahead and get started. Do tstub here. Let's go ahead and generate my painful method. So I'll show you my painful method. Go ahead and create our list of entities that are our original entities. So this would be mimicking our web service call. We have our new entities, and I'll do new list of my personal entities. So I'm going to go ahead and create an empty list of my personal entities. Now, because we don't have Linq in this scenario, we're going to have to iterate across our originals. And then we'd have to do something like this. Man, computer's really slow today. And create a new personal entity. And in order to populate it, we'd probably do something like this. And that's not a whole lot of code. If this field list was quite long, of course it'd get longer. But it's not a lot of code. And you're probably thinking to yourself, this isn't terribly painful. Why would I not want to do it this way? Well, let me add a little wrinkle in here. What if I only want to return values where my original entity has a field 2 value of 2? Well, now I've just added an extra couple lines of code, a little bit extra noise, and to me makes it a little bit more complicated to refactor later. Well, how can I do this easier with less pain? Well, I can do this pretty easily and less painful by using lambda statements. Let's go ahead and show you how to do that. Let's go ahead and copy this line of code here, save some typing. Then I'm going to do new entities, and I'm going to grab my original entity list, and I'm going to use lambda's select statement to pull it out. And here I'm going to do field 1, I'm going to use x.field1, x.field2. Now that will return us all of our list. Now if I want to filter it like I did above, we need to do something like this. Now, to me, this is less code. It's easier to read. If you're into the whole, DSL style or Fluent style syntax, to me it makes a lot more sense too, because I have original entities and I'm going to select where. Now this works. This is great, but is there even a less painful way? What happens if I have tons of these fields? Let's say I have 10 or 15 of them. That's a lot of fields to be dealing with. And I don't want, if I'm going to be doing this, I don't want to muddy up my single class or my single method with all that noise. So maybe I want to abstract that away somewhere else. Let's do another method real quick. do it the even less painful way. I'll snag that code again. Now instead of actually doing it in line as we did above, I'm actually going to create a delegate, or I'm sorry, a helper extension method that will do it for us. So let's do public I'll go ahead and create my extension method here, and I'm going to do public class. We'll call this personal entity. And it's going to take an original entity. You make this static. And what this little helper method is going to do for us, it's actually going to return us back a newly converted or newly created personal entity. So I'm going to do return new my personal entity. It looks like I have some bad code here. Public string. This is going to be in my personal entity. Now, using this helper extension, or this extension method, if I did have many fields, maybe 8 or 10 of them, it would actually, in my opinion, create less noise because I wouldn't have to, list them elsewhere. What's this squiggly all about? Public static class up. I think I have. Let's pop this right here. There you go. Just had it within the wrong. I just had it embedded inside of my other class, and you can't do that. So now, if I want to use that helper extension method, again, I'm going to do select. I'll do to personal entity. A whole lot less noise here because I'm encapsulating all the noise somewhere else. And again, if I want to do a filter, I can do where. And now I've filtered out my list. I've done it in about 2 lines of code. So let's take a look at what we've done and let's review some stuff. We have our 2 entities. We have our original entity and our new entity. We've gone over 3 different ways to do the list conversion. The original way, which is I deem to be the more painful way, it's basically iterating through one after another. I'm now having to maintain what turns out to be about 5 or 6 lines of code. We then took a look at a less painful way, which is using lambda statements and Linq, and we're doing everything in line. We have a select statement and then a where statement. And then what I deem to be the even less painful way, which is using helper extensions. Well, I hope you learned something, and until next time.